Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Judiciary and Administration Committee. It is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019 at 6 p.m. Welcome. And we have everyone present this evening, so that's wonderful. So anyway, let's get started. We do have the first one as a public hearing. It is 19-1531. Need a motion for a public hearing? Motion by Councilmember Weaver, seconded by Councilmember Podesky. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. First speaker we have here is Michael Brown, 1906 Caledonia Street, representing Cooley Region Taxi, and he wishes to speak in favor of the legislation. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you very much. 3 years ago, when we started hauling handicapped people at Cooley Region Taxi, I set the rates at $20 a pickup and then $2.10 a mile after that. Those rates are not get rich. These vehicles are very expensive. I have 3 handicapped vehicles now. The total cost of those 3 vehicles is over $100,000. The lifts and such are expensive to maintain. Got to be taken in every so months to get them work done. The insurance is much higher in these vehicles. It takes much longer to strap them in with cross strapping so they're safely hauled. That's been a very fair thing. It's the same price I charge all my contracts throughout the state of Wisconsin that we do hauling for. I understand people thinks it ought to be discounted or whatever, but it's just the cost of doing business hauling a wheelchair. It's simple fact. And we are probably the only company out there that take the time to keep handicapped vehicles available after 5 o'clock. And we use them for cabs and picking up people because a lot of the residents of La Crosse did not have that service before. And so we want to make sure that all these people got a way of getting to places, home from places when they like to go. Some of them are like to go, they go to the Loggers game. If these places shut down at 5, they can't even go. We drop them off at 6 o'clock, pick them up at 9, 10 o'clock at night, take them back to their place. But it's expensive to do this type of business. Sunday we get a call from the police department. Happens very frequent. Somebody drove off the viaduct going over George Street with the wheelchair, landed in a road. You know, they hauled them in an ambulance. They'd call us because we're the only company out there to pick these wheelchairs up and haul it back to their place for them. That's a service we provide, and we're very proud of it. We like to take care of these people. But the fee is $20, and we hope you keep it that way. That's the only way we'll continue doing that type of business. And I hope if you got any questions, I'd sure love to answer them for you.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Councilmember Podesky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mike, a couple of questions, I guess. If to try and find a happy medium here for everybody, say if a person was going to go to a Logger game and then back home, was there any way that you could, on the way home, as long as he had already done it, maybe drop that to 10 if it's the dual customer that day?
I can't because I got too many contracts out there, and if I start switching prices, they're going to ask why did I do that for them, and those other contracts are much bigger than the few rides we get from La Crosse.
Okay.
That's why, I can't drop it at all because I want to keep all my contract prices, all the state programs the same, so nobody can say they're getting a better deal than anybody else.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Councilmember Newmeister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe you can explain, I noticed in my business that when they're dropping off people in wheelchairs and stuff, generally it takes a great deal longer. They actually bring them in right into our facility when they pick them up. They go in and pick them up and roll them out. And maybe that's something maybe you can share with us, if that's the norm, or is it just special in our place? Because,
no,
we are special.
Yeah.
But I just want, maybe you can explain that or maybe talk about that.
Many times we take these people and we take them into their apartment buildings and get them up to their front door. I don't allow my people to go inside the apartment, but we'll roll them up. Many of them are in apartment buildings, and we make sure they get down the hallway to their things, their door open with all their stuff and rolling. Yeah, it's a time consuming, but it's a service they didn't have in La Crosse 3 years ago because everybody thought it wasn't profitable. It's not profitable, but it's the right thing to do for the community. And do my drivers like it? No. I'm forcing them to take care of these people because they need it. And a lot of them, like, they get stuck in the snow and ice with their electric wheelchairs. We're the only ones that go out and rescue them, take the things out of gear, push them up the ramp. A couple times they rolled down, one over a person's foot, workman's comp claim. It's expensive to do business with those things. And they're expensive vehicles, they're expensive to maintain. It's not like a taxi. For 99% of these people that are in wheelchairs, there's a government program that'll pay full price. They don't pay nothing. I mean, I'll help anybody to get in contact with somebody that can help them with that. There's some very good programs out there. No questions asked. They take them to doctor's appointments. We take them to doctor's appointments, sporting events, grocery stopping, the mall. There's good programs out for them. So 99% of them are paid through the state.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Councilmember Olson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess a question for Mr. Brown would be, the other companies providing the service in town, even though they don't extend the service past 5 o'clock, is their fee the same as yours, or is it lower, higher? Can you give me some insight?
I'm not exactly sure, but I know like CTS, their handicapped vehicles they don't use them as taxis. They don't even do the call things. They have contracts through the various programs. I've heard from $15 to $25 locally throughout this region is a common fee. But we're the only ones that I know of that actually do the taxi service, and it's not very many because most of them are covered under programs. But we keep the vehicles out there so they are available.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So when you say that the cost of the trip is compensated for by the state, are you directly paid by the state, or is this something that your client is reimbursed by the state? I'm not familiar with this
We're
field.
directly paid from like the different programs. You got Inclusa, Wisconsin Cares, Iris. There's like 5 or 6 different programs. We work just with virtually all of them and bill them weekly, monthly, or whatever they like. And nothing comes out of their customer's pocket.
Okay, one other follow-up is that, do those organizations that do the reimbursement, do they have a cap at what kind of fee can be charged per trip?
They don't tell me what the cap is, but when I turned mine in for the $20, they said that was more than fair. The state average is probably much more than that, but this area around here is, for whatever reason, is very cheap taxi rates.
Okay. Anyone else? No?
I do want to add that
Okay, go ahead.
some of the handicapped people see that there's certain service in La Crosse that will pick you up for $3.50 and haul you anywhere around La Crosse, but they're being compensated through the county and the state separately and guaranteed so much an hour while that vehicle's on the road. We don't get none of that. We either bill it or it's out of our pocket. So that's what confuses a lot of people, that why do they only charge $3.50 and you're charging 20 plus mileage? Well, we don't get no county subsidy or state subsidies from that program.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else that did not register that would like to speak? Anyone else? No? Okay. Motion to close the public hearing? Okay, okay, motion by Councilmember Olson and Councilmember Weaver to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay, and then I forgot to read the ordinance, so I will. An ordinance to repeal and recreate section 10-589, parent C, create section 10-591, parent B, create section 10-594, parent I, and create section 10-622, parent D of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse regarding vehicles for public conveyance. There is on Legistar an amendment that was made last month as well, so I guess we need that discussion to move forward. Mayor Cabot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to just briefly provide a little bit of context for the ordinance because I appreciate our small businesses and the cost and challenges that they have to deal with every day. But the $10 as proposed, in my mind, after hearing from constituents who utilize the service, seems like a fair rate. I would agree with Mr. Brown. For the most part, our MTU service and the paratransit that we offer does provide very convenient and accessible transportation to most of our residents, and that's our goal, is to have our service touch the areas of residences or be darn close to within a few blocks so that people have convenient and accessible service. Some of the challenge that I heard from residents, though, in those who were in wheelchairs, is the notion that our some of the paratransit services, their hours of operation are limited, and then even our own MTU, the service ends at 10 o'clock at night. So if you're a resident, and especially in the summer months, going to a Loggers game or want to enjoy a late dinner, if you're not able to access the MTU and you're out past 10 o'clock, you've got a taxi is really your only alternative. The feedback that I received from folks was that $20 was excessive per trip. So if you can imagine going out and then returning home, $40 for that trip is a fairly substantial amount of money. I think for I guess I should have started off by saying, I believe that, or I would hope that through the state programs and through other solutions, we wouldn't have to charge any additional costs for folks that have a wheelchair and need a lift, because when it comes to just equitable treatment and trying to treat everybody the same, it does seem excessive to have to charge folks because they have a wheelchair. And I understand the additional requirements if you're buying equipment, but something about that just doesn't seem right to me. And so after talking with the constituents, that's why the proposal of $10 is something that I feel is a fair rate, and not to exceed the $10. The other parts of the ordinance, just to kind of close this up, the other parts of the ordinance, we also heard from folks that at times if they had a service animal, that they were being denied trips by the taxi companies, and we wanted to make sure that that was not going to be the case, that the city was very clear about the requirement that if someone has a service animal and that's a need, that they are allowed to that they wouldn't be denied a ride. And then I think just making sure that the various rates are posted clearly, because when we did our research here just on our local businesses, it wasn't always clear and easy to understand what the charges were. So I appreciate the concerns and the cost, and that's the last thing that the city wants to do, is to impose more rules. But in this case, I think leaving it at the $10 per trip is something that I feel is reasonable, and I would encourage you to leave it at the original $10 per trip. Thank you.
And if I may speak on that, with the service animals, that is a federal law. You have to provide that service for that animal as well. So go ahead, Councilmember Newmeister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I definitely understand what Mayor Cabot is saying. I also think that what's going to happen is they financially cannot do it at that price. So what you're going to do is you're going to lose that option for some of these people. The $10 is not an option for a company. They, as much as they want to do the right thing, they can't lose money all the time neither on it. So I won't agree with that personally. I'm with them on where the $20 is it expensive? Yeah, but you know what? Maybe as the government, we should subsidize that and not count on the small business to do that, because I don't believe it's fair for them. I also believe as a city or a government in our state, whatever, if we can find help for them, more power to us. But I also don't believe that it's really fair to stick that extra cost to a small business. So that's my thought. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Podesta.
Thank you. I'm money-wise, I have to agree with Scott, but I don't want to, if the dogs and the clear pricing are going to be part of that, I'd like to divide that, so that's not included. I mean,
The service dog is included in that.
that's what I mean. I'd like to vote on that separately. I'd like to make this 2 votes. I'd like to amend it to one where we're voting on the cost and then leave everything else as is in there, as far as clear documentation of the cost and then the dogs not being able to deny service dog and stuff. But I don't want to vote no because of the $10 or $20 and then do what clearly the service dog and the clear printing of the prices are 2 different issues, 3 different issues. So I'm going to amend it to that we vote separately on the $10 amended version, and then we vote everything else as one issue.
You have a question on his amendment? Okay.
Question on that. Would it be simpler to simply propose an amendment striking the entire subsection B?
Yes, it would, so I'll second yours.
Okay. Right, yeah. Okay, so we need the original ordinance on the floor.
I'm going to move the ordinance before we get into amending and re-amending, because if we're going to have this discussion, we have to have this on the floor. So I'm going to move the motion.
Okay, motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. All those in favor? No. Okay. Darn. It's like, okay, that is on the floor. Okay. So now we can go to the amendment, I believe.
Yeah, I have reviewed the amendment that's on Legistar, but I'm going to propose a different amendment that might make things a little bit simpler. I'm just going to move to amend the ordinance to strike the entire paragraph B.
You want to read that?
And if there's, my colleagues still second that motion? Okay. And then can I roll into discussion here?
There was an amendment by Councilmember Olson, seconded by Councilmember Podesta. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the mayor's heart is in the right place, and it's incredibly important that we are all sensitive and we take care of the vulnerable, but that is exactly what our private citizen, Mike Brown, is doing, is he's essentially doing the job of the government, which is taking care of these vulnerable people. And I support you and thank you for that effort. That being said, this is a service being provided by a private business, not a government enterprise. And as such, as a private business, the government really does not have any business trying to price fix in order to, I guess, rectify an inequity, because a private business is going to set prices at the rate that they need in order to be sustainable. And I think we have to respect that. We're not going to solve hunger by setting price fixing what a gallon of milk should cost at Festival Foods. We're not going to solve homelessness by price fixing what a landlord should charge for rent. The private enterprise has got to be able to determine what they need to charge to succeed, and if there were a whole lot of people banging down our door to be in this business, they'd be competing with him. The fact that he's the only one providing the service means it's a tough business and it's not a big money maker. I think, and as long as there are programs out there that we can help direct people to get these compensations, and the firms that provide the compensation don't put a cap on it, I think we as the municipality need to stay out of it, and that's all I have to say. Thanks.
So on your amendment, did you include that increased fee then, or is that separate?
I'm striking the entire paragraph B.
Maybe that. Okay, okay. So paragraph B, she did strike, but I
The
want,
whole thing, instead of increasing the cap, I'm striking the whole paragraph.
okay. But somehow you still need, oh, the $20 is there, okay.
No,
Yeah.
no, $20.
No, that's the going
No
rate.
limit, no
Okay.
cap.
Well, you do need a cap on that, because it could go to $30, you know, whatever. So I think you need to specify.
That wasn't my amendment.
Okay,
My amendment
all
was
right.
saying all the cap.
Okay, okay. We can vote on that amendment then. Everybody clear on that amendment? Okay. All those in favor of the Olson? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess just as a bit of clarity, the second sentence in paragraph B is very important, so that if a taxi company is going to have a surcharge for a wheelchair load, that they disclose it in their schedule of rates, because again, that's been part of the challenge, is that the information is not readily accessible. So I understand about the first sentence and not having any limit, which again I think is a mistake, and that's the government's role is police powers, and if we feel that certain charges are in excess, that's exactly why we have government, because if all men were angels, we wouldn't need a government. And there are times when we do have to step in to protect our consumers. But having said that, I do really believe that the second sentence should remain, because those rates should be disclosed. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so too. So, did you want to offer a friendly amendment?
Yeah, friendly amendment, instead of striking the entire paragraph, just if a licensee imposes a surcharge, such surcharge shall be disclosed in licensee schedule of rates. So in other words, I'm striking from the word for all the way through trip. Seconder wanna?
So I really feel that you have to have a dollar amount in there. So,
That wasn't my amendment, Madam Chair.
okay, all right, so, okay, on that amendment, so, go ahead, Council President Gall.
Well, this is a difficult issue, and in principle, I don't disagree with Councilmember Olson as far as letting the market determine the rates here. However, I think that the mayor's heart is also in the right place here, and I think that some semblance of balance should be put forward. I believe, Tim, that I think that the $20 cap is a good middle ground, and as far as looking to move it lower than that, I think that if we want to legislate that as a city, as opposed to forcing a private business to reduce their rates under a level that they feel they can comfortably deliver the service with, I think that we should be looking for a way to subsidize that rate through the city's funding. I think that it's a slippery slope if we set rates that the people that are providing a service look us in the eye and say they can't do it for that kind of money. Eventually, they're not going to provide that service anymore in some fashion. So I would really encourage, no matter what we do here this evening, that if we are at a rate that's higher than you, Mayor, are comfortable with, we really take a good look and see if we couldn't provide some funding through the city out of general contingency funds, possibly, with a limit every month, at least as an experiment to see what could be done in that regard. With that, I would urge everybody, and I appreciate Councilmember Olson's position on this, but I would urge everybody to turn down this amendment that's here. I think that it's appropriate for us to at least put some cap in this, particularly when the people that are responsible for providing this service are looking at us right here and saying that they will do it for the $20 and that they can do it for the $20 and maintain that service. I think that it's appropriate for us to put that cap in there. So this amendment that we've got in front of us right now, I would urge you to turn down.
Anybody else? No. Okay, on the Olson amendment, say aye or nay. So. Aye. Okay, Olson's aye, Kalo's aye, and your aye on the Olson amendment. Okay. All right. Nay? No. Nay and nay. So we have 4 nays and 3 yeses. 4 ayes. No? 4 yeses. Okay, okay, not, Councilmember Newmeister, I did not hear that you voted aye. Okay, so you're on the Olson amendment, okay, without a cap on there. Okay, all right, so that motion did pass. So on I really think we need more on that, being we should have a cap of some sort. I don't think that's fair, but I guess if nobody is willing to make.
With that, I mean, I'm going to make a motion to move the amendment as move it as amended, and let's deal with that, and then possibly by next week we can see if there's something else that we can come with. But right now, the ayes have it. I think we should move along.
Okay.
All right. So I make the motion to approve as amended.
Okay. Council President Gall moves to approve as amended. Seconded by Councilmember Podesky. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. So it'll be back here on Thursday of next week. Thank you. Okay. So let me see if there's other. Let's take 1917-23. It's on the next sheet. I know we have someone that would like to speak on that, and it is 1917-23 resolution creating the Committee for Citizens with Disabilities. And we need a public hearing. We need a motion. Motion by Councilmember Weaver for a public hearing, seconded by Council President Gall. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. And Jeff Nylander, 2422 on Alaska Avenue, is here in favor of that legislation. Go ahead, Mr. Nylander.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Nylander, and I live up on the north side. This first set of businesses that you've been talking about gives me a good point to start. My wife and I have been at odds with the city for a while because of a lot of misunderstandings and things that didn't go right with the construction of our specially adapted house. We got blessing from the VA, from the federal, and the VA from the state, and we ran into issues with the city. We finally overcame those issues, and I had sat down, had a talk with the mayor, and one of the first things that I noticed in all of the disability things that my wife and I have been through in the last 10 years is the city of La Crosse really does not have a structured advocacy group, a place where people that have disabilities could come and voice their concerns or share ideas or just advocate or educate. I came up with a lot of the information on the internet, and I just Googled the 10 best small cities in the country and found that 3 of those 10 top are within 300 miles of here. Rapid City, South Dakota, Bismarck, North Dakota, and Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is bigger than us, but the other 2 are about the same size. And I found that those cities have had disability boards for almost 20 years. When the ADA first landed from the federal government, there were structured committees in place. And so when I sat down with the mayor, I presented that information, and I said, we really need to have something like this here in La Crosse. Because whether it's a lot of the perception with disability is mobility, getting from place to place. And that's, yes, that's one part of it. But the other part is recognizing that when you go into a city office, there are certain things that someone with a disability may need for help. And it's more than just, if you pull up the Quick Trip, it says, if you need help and have a disability, call this number. Well, when you call that number, are you going to get somebody that understands? And so this committee, I think with the people that would be appointed to that, I think there'll be a valuable sort of storage area of information that not only the board, but the mayor and the rest of the administration here at the city, they'll be able to use that as a resource, and vice versa. I think it'll be a good collecting point so that people aren't just calling a council member or the mayor when they have a problem, but this board can sort of filter those out and help with those before it becomes a boiling over point. So I'm hoping that you will approve this resolution and we can get this started to move the city forward. Thank you. Any questions? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
Councilmember
Madam Chair.
Newmeyer.
I don't really have a question, more of a statement. First off, thank you. And I would hope that this flies through the process and we get this committee going as soon as possible. I commend you for the work you've done, and hopefully it moves along. But I just wanted to thank you for, obviously, your thoughtfulness and your work put into this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay. Any other questions? No? Need a motion to close public hearing? Okay, motion by Councilmember Weaver to close the public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Podeski. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay. Motion to approve by Councilmember Newmeister, seconded by Councilmember Olson. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried on that. Thank you very much. Okay, now we do have a couple of public hearings here. 19 is 1676, application to James Buchner for a conditional use permit for allowing demolition of a structure for future construction at 2522 7th Street South. There is a recommendation for a 30-day referral by the Planning Department, Mr. Ackland as well. So motion to refer for 30 days by Councilmember Newmeister, seconded by Councilmember Olson. Any questions? All right. Tim, did you want to... Was there any update on why the referral?
Yes. So, well, to start off with, this item was accidentally left off of the Planning Commission agenda yesterday. So we are in process of trying to make sure that doesn't happen again, number one, and two, scheduling a Planning Commission meeting before council next week so that there is an actual action attached to this legislation when it comes to next Thursday. Okay. Part of the reason for 30-day referral, though, is in addition to that, the applicants are exploring an additional or an alternative route for the conditional use permit. They're going to try to get the building a raise order on the existing building so they can go that route without having to get a conditional use permit. So I think we're recommending a 30-day referral at this particular point, only to see if they're able to get that status prior to council next week. If they're able to work that out with the inspections department, they may be withdrawing this petition altogether. Or if they're not able to get that decision done before council, they may need a 30-day referral, or it could come back to this body next Thursday and actually need an action for this conditional use permit altogether. So it really just depends on what they're able to, what information or decision they get from the inspections department before next Thursday.
Okay. All right. All right. All those in favor of the 30-day referral, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Let's just start up here. 1916-18, resolution approving election officials for 2021. There is an amendment on Legistar, so we need a motion on that.
Motion to approve for amendment.
On Legistar, okay. Motion by Councilmember Newmeister, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. Any questions? No? Not if it's on Legistar, I don't believe. You don't need a second amendment motion on that, do you? No.
You'll need a motion to approve the amendment, and then if that passes, then a motion to
Okay.
approve as amended.
Got it. Okay, so that was the motion. Okay, so that was the motion to amend, to approve, and then the amendment on that. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And then on the original resolution. Motion to approve by Podesky and seconded by Councilmember Weaver. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. 1916-75, an ordinance to amend subsection 115-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse, transferring certain property from the multiple dwelling district to the commercial district, allowing convenience store with fuel sales and car wash at 3305 Mormon Cooley Road, which is Quick Trip. And I do not have anyone here to speak in favor of the legislation, so I'm not sure what the city planning report was. Was to approve the city planning report, so need a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve, Councilmember Weaver, seconded by Council President Gall, to approve city planning report. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Okay. 1916-92, an ordinance to amend subsection 115-110 of the Code Ordinances. Is there an issue there? No. An ordinance to amend subsection 115-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse, transferring certain property from the traditional neighborhood development district to the public semi-public district, allowing fire station at 5248 33rd Street South. No one here for a public hearing. Need a motion on that? Motion to approve. And that was before city planning, I believe. Okay. Okay, motion by, let's see, was that okay. Your name again? Councilmember Podesky. You speak so softly. Okay, by Councilmember Podesky, seconded by Councilmember Newmeister. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You guys. Okay. Oh, I'm waiting on that one because I have speakers. So anyway, okay. In the legislation 191747, application of BCAB Incorporated doing business as BCAB for 2020, public hire for hire license. Josh Redenbaugh, 1224 Island Street, wanted to be here in favor of the legislation, but only to answer questions. That's why I skipped over to that, so I need a separate motion on that. So, motion by Councilmember Podesky, seconded by Councilmember Kalo. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay, now we can go back because I think I gotta find that. 1916-86, and we have an ordinance to amend subsection 115-110 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse, transferring certain property from the single-family district to the resident district, allowing property to be rented as a duplex at 1452 George Street. We need a motion for a public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Olson, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay, so we do have Adam Hoffer, 1510 Madison Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin, to speak in favor of the legislation. We allow 15 minutes, please, and a total of 3 minutes per. So,
Okay,
ahead.
I will keep this brief. My name is Adam Hoffer. I'm the property owner. A brief description of the property. It's 6,300 square feet. It used to be a church. It is in wonderful condition. It's a beautiful property. It's currently rented as a single-family rental. Our proposal is to turn it into a duplex. This is for multiple reasons, but one of the bigger ones is that when we tried to have it appraised, there were no comparable properties in the zip code that it sold recently because of the way that it is structured. There are just no comparable properties as a single-family home. I would also like to address some of the issues that came up, some of the, objections that were filed. Those were, I believe, mostly related to one tenant issue and one garbage issue. I would like to report that since the meeting last night, we have, I hope, resolved all of the garbage issues. I had Harders come and pick up old trash cans and haul them away that should have been removed long ago, but those are gone now. And the issue we had with a tenant causing a bit of a nuisance in the neighborhood. For most of 2019, we've been partnered with Catholic Charities to rent the property to their clients. We had several wonderful tenants come through, eventually find housing with the city of La Crosse. Most recently, we had one tenant that caused a problem. We have since taken steps to address that problem. There were multiple lease violations, things that should not have occurred but did, that those tenants are no longer on the property, and we are in the process of sort of cleaning up and taking care of any issues that resulted from that. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, or just address anything that you might want to ask.
Go ahead, Councilmember Podesky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This would either be for the property owner or Tim. What did city planning do yesterday with this?
They recommended approval.
Okay, then I guess this would go back to the property owner. How many bedrooms are you looking at if you make this a duplex in each, like you talking 2 or 3 on each side?
3 in each unit, yes.
Then what are we looking at for parking? What do you have for off-street parking for this?
So there are currently 2 to 4 parking spots, depending on the vehicles and how they are parked. We have a plan, if this is approved as a duplex, there's a current shed structure, non-permanent structure. There's a shed on the property that is adjacent to the parking lot. We would like to remove that shed, and then if we extend that parking area, we would be able to fit 6 vehicles diagonally sideways with a parking lane up the middle.
So you would be able to meet the 1 bed, 1 car thing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilmember Olson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you be willing to accept the requirement of providing those 6 parking stalls as a condition of your rezoning?
Yes, absolutely. As long as we could have a couple months to complete it. I don't know what the time frame is, but just pouring the concrete, I imagine, would be a summer job.
I'd direct you to the planning staff for as far as what, deadline, time frame, et cetera. I don't believe we would get as detailed as to that, or the size or scope or how it's laid out, just simply that 6 off-street parking stalls would be provided, just so we don't open the door to, the next developer coming in and wanting, a sweetheart deal waiver to not provide sufficient parking for their tenants. So, thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Newmeister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe in yesterday's meeting, you had said that you are not doing business with Catholic Charities any longer. Is that the case? If there isn't, I think there was some miscommunication, so I just want to verify that.
We are not currently renting to any Catholic Charities clients. I'm not closing the door on the relationship in the future, but we currently have no Catholic Charities tenants in the building.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, obviously that's a district that I reside in, and I'm the council member that represents that district. That is an issue then. I think we all took it yesterday that you no longer work with them, nor did you, and quote me if I'm misspoken, but you has said that you've been down that road, you've worked that one, and you don't plan on doing it again. I think that the people that were there expressed their concerns, and that made them feel a little better, but now it seems like you're backing off that a little bit, so I have concerns over that.
I'm not entirely sure what my legal obligation is in terms of, as a landlord, to whom can I not rent to? I don't want to, I have no intention of discriminating against any clients, but I have no intention at the moment of seeking a Catholic Charities tenant for the property.
Okay. I have a question. Being the city planning report had nothing in there about parking, and I guess I'm a little bit surprised that that did not come up at the city planning commission meeting yesterday. There was no questions whatsoever on parking, and I'm not sure why that wasn't addressed, where we did have a threeplex actually a year and a half, 2 years ago, just down the street that was denied because of the parking issue. So they did not get that to go through in that legislation because of the parking requirement. But I think what we need to do is make sure that there is an amendment on this that does require those parking stalls in the back of that building. And I think you need to do a better job of taking a look at the property. You know, if it had all of this garbage and the neighbors were complaining, you know, that evidently wasn't well taken care of. And I think you need to, you know, make sure that we are moving forward in the best direction for our neighborhoods. So, thank you. Go ahead.
I'll make that amendment, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Is this as an amendment, or what? No, we can't do that yet?
Not yet. We
We're in
have to
public
have-
hearing. Okay,
Yep.
got it.
So, is there anyone else? Mr. Tronick, you did not sign up. Would you like to speak in opposition at all? No, I know you did send a letter on that, and I believe it is on Legistar. So, in opposition of the legislation, and there may be 2 other emails that came through that were in opposition. But I think you need to work with the neighbors as well. Knock on their door. I don't know if you had any conversations with them before you proposed this.
We had a few conversations. We tried to do our own 200-foot radius and send out our own mailer to everyone that was on a 2-block radius. We asked them if they had any complaints, questions, concerns to please reach out to us. To my knowledge, we received 0 responses to that letter. And yesterday was the first I had heard of any specific complaints about things from the neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I know there had been police report activities there as well, but I think you probably will have a good handle on that going forward.
Yes.
Okay. So we need a motion, I believe, to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Weaver and seconded by Council President Gall to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. So we don't have a motion on that. So okay, we need to get a motion on the floor by Council President Gall, seconded by Councilmember Weaver.
I did not make the motion, I just made comment.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Olson makes the motion, and Councilmember Weaver made a second on that. So, on the amendment, is there an amendment on that?
I'll amend to include the requirement of provision of 6 off-street parking stalls.
Before we move forward on this. So, okay, there's an amendment by Councilmember Olson, second by Councilmember Weaver. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye on the amendment. Aye. Councilmember Weaver. And Councilmember Newmeister is abstaining. So if we turn this down, then, you know, it's going to stay as just a single family residence. Pardon me? There was so far, okay. So all those in favor of the amendment, say aye. 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 Okay, so Councilmember Podesky? Aye. Anybody else saying aye here on the amendment? Yeah, I know you are. So, okay. So you're aye. Is there aye and aye and aye? Okay, on the 6 parking stalls. Okay. Okay, so we have that and 1 no. Okay, and 1 abstention. So, okay. So, on the main motion as amendment, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Why are we so quiet? All those in favor say aye as amended. Okay. And how many noes? No. No? Okay. And 1 abstention. Okay. I think, okay, so that did pass, but I think we need to make sure that you do your diligence going forward, and this will come before the council next week as well. So, thank you. Okay. All right. So we are going to move on to the next slide. Let's see if I got any more. 1917-45, an ordinance to create section 4-153 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of La Crosse regarding secondary retail sales for brewers. Need a motion? Motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. Discussion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Let's see, 1917-46, an application of Cooley Region Taxi LLC doing business as Cooley Region Taxi for 2020 public vehicle for hire license. Motion? Motion by Councilmember Newmeister, seconded by Councilmember Kalo. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 1917-48, application of Syncos USA LLC doing business as Bullet Cab for 2020 public vehicle for hire license. Motion by Councilmember Podesky. Seconded by Councilmember Olson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 1917-49, application of Top Hat Incorporated doing business as CTS Taxi for 2020 public vehicle for hire license. Motion by Councilmember Podesky, seconded by Councilmember Newmeister, and Councilmember Weaver has left the room. So anyway, thought I'd record that. All those in favor say aye on that. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 191750, application Luxury Limos LLC doing business as Luxury Limos for 2020 public vehicle for hire license. Motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Councilmember Podesky. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 191751, application of Cinderella Carriage LLC for 2020 horse-drawn vehicle license. Motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Councilmember Olson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 191754, various license applications for pursuant to Chapter 4, 6, and 10 of the La Crosse Municipal Code for the remainder of license period 2019-20. Motion by Council President Gall, seconded by Council Member Olson, subject to compliance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And 191758, resolution to participate in the negotiation and arbitration process for the siting of proposed expansion of La Crosse County landfill and appointing local committee members. Motion by Councilmember Newmeister, seconded by Councilmember Weaver. Any discussion? No. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I think we made all of them going forward. Motion by Councilmember Podesky, seconded by Councilmember Olson to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.